Breaking news out of Middle East today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered immediate and powerful military strikes on Gaza just 19 days after US broke ceasefire took effect on October 10th. The fragile truce is now on the brink of collapse. I'm Rishu Rani and here is what we know. The order came after two major incidents. First, Israeli forces in southern Gaza near Rafah came under fire from Hamas fighters. The IDF returned fire. No casualties were officially reported, but an Israeli military source called it a direct violation of ceasefire. Hours later, Hamas handed over what it claimed was the body of an Israeli hostage. Israel quickly rejected it, saying remains did not belong to a hostage and accused Hamas of deliberately breaking the deal. The ceasefire clearly states all hostage remains must be returned as soon as possible. The Associated Press footage from Khan Younis shows masked militants carrying a white body bag out of tunnel and loading it into an ambulance. Hamas says it's one of the 13 remaining hostage bodies still in Gaza. But after Israel announced the strikes, Hamas said it would delay any further handovers.
Last night, Israel received the remains of a deceased hostage from Gaza, and following the identification process, it was determined the partial remains belong to Ophir Sarfati, a 27-year-old who was murdered in Hamas captivity after being kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival. Ophir was celebrating his 27th birthday on October 7th, 2023, with his partner and friends that horrific day when he was shot and wounded. The IDF rescued his body from Gaza in November of 2023, where he was later buried in Israel by his family. In March of 2024, additional remains of Ophir were returned to Israel for burial.
But this is not the first mix-up. In the first week of the ceasefire, Hamas turned over a body that turned out to be an unidentified Palestinian. And back in February, during a short-lived truce, Hamas claimed to return a mother and her two young sons. DNA test shows one body was a Palestinian woman. The correct remains came a day later. Eyewitnesses in Gaza City reports Israeli war plans launching airstrike within minutes of Netanyahu's order. Explosion and tanks fire were heard across the strip. Hamas says it's struggling to locate bodies amid the rubbles of a devastated Gaza. Now, Israel says obviously the delays are intentional.
Our analysis concluded that the State of Israel is responsible for the commission of 4 genocidal acts in Gaza with the specific intent to destroy Palestinians in Gaza. We also found that the Israeli President, Prime Minister, and former Defense Minister have incited the commission of genocide. These findings remain fully valid and continue to serve as the cornerstone for the Commission's ongoing efforts to ensure accountability.
Over the weekend, Egypt sent experts and heavy equipment to help dig through destruction in Khan Younis and Nuseirat. That search continued Tuesday until the strike begins. So what does this exactly mean? The ceasefire was already hanging by a thread. Returning hostage body was supposed to build trust for the next phase, Hamas disarmament and international security force in Gaza, and deciding who governs the territory. Tonight, all of it is at risk. What happens next is the big questions. More strike could shatter the truce and reset full-scale war. The US, Egypt and Qatar, the deal's mediators, are urgently calling both sides to stand down. But with bombs falling and bodies in limbo, time is running out. That's all for this story. I'll see you in the next one. For more geopolitical stories, keep watching Money Control.